let's try an experiment. Let's pretend that I'm depressed. So I might say to you, oh, I feel depressed. I feel that I'm not quite myself. So what happens next is I step in and I say, I'm the observer. I recognize that there's something wrong. So I'm sort of communicating with the other you that you think you are, telling you that you're feeling depressed. So I think a very important teaching is to understand that there are different parts of us. There is the ego part of us, the false sense of who we are. Like, for example, there's this Todd that I think I am. I think I'm this flesh and bones and this hair and this face or whatever, right? This is what I am. But inside of me, there's a spirit. There's something really deeply ingrained in us spiritually. And it's more like we're really spiritual beings inside a temporary human shell. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. And most people don't realize this. And it's taken me a number of years, and I still struggle with that now and then. But once you start to get the trick, it's kind of like learning the magician's trick. You begin to look at things a little bit differently. So keeping that in mind every time that you're upset, or you're frustrated, or you're sad. And depression's a big one, especially nowadays. There's so much anxiety and so much depression now with, after the COVID years. It's really shaken people quite a bit. And what happens is we go into this flight or fight process where something deeply ingrained in us that makes us feel scared and sort of like we have to hide, or we have to do something. We're coming out of this slowly, and it's just been so frustrating. It's really messed with our existence, and it just really pulls us away from who we are, who we really are. And that's the essence of what I'm trying to talk about here, is that the essence of who we really are isn't who we think we are. If you really stop and close your eyes and meditate on this and think about this a little bit, you understand, really focus on who's doing the thinking and where is the thinking taking place. So, for example, a doctor cuts into your neurology, cuts into your brain, and cut out the you-ness of whatever it is you are. Let's just say there's depression in you. Where is that? Where does depression show up? You can't find it. There's nothing there. There's nothing to find. And that's what's so frustrating about it, because you feel like it's real. You feel that it's you. You feel that it's happening to you. You feel that it just doesn't feel right to you, right? And that's what's fascinating, because really what it comes down to is depressing feelings and depressing thoughts and depressing emotions and, depressing biology. There's a whole number of things that happen inside of us, physically, mentally, spiritually, that make us feel a certain way. And that includes feeling good on the opposite end of the spectrum too. And, I think being mindful of this and paying attention to it helps us really understand that there's a lot more going on than we think there is. But the good news is that it doesn't have to be overthought. All we have to do is be aware of it and be mindful of it and start to think a little bit differently and sort of step out of ourselves. Because when we step out of ourselves, we realize that there's something else going on here. God's at play. God's telling us and leading us into doing certain things. That's why we have what we call the gut feeling, trust your gut feeling, or just sort of an inner sense, an inner calling, that there's something compelling me or you to do some of the things we do. And it's challenging. So what I've done over the years is I've done a lot of studying, and I continue to do a lot of studying, and book reading and podcast listening and going to seminars and meditating and practicing martial arts and all kinds of things for my own spiritual practice. And the spiritual practice is a very, very important part of our human existence. I think most people completely underestimate that. We're really starving for more spirituality. And it doesn't have to be weird. In fact, it's the opposite. It's actually beautiful. It's actually really incredible because, we take care of this body. We have, we take care of, our skin, what we eat, what we drink, when we sleep, and all that kind of stuff. But we seldom take care of our mind. We seldom take care of the spiritual part of who we are. And that's part of, it should be the most important part of our existence. Because that's deeply, deeply who we are. We're basically a spirit. We have a soul, and we have a body. It's sort of like those three things. But ideally, we are really led by a spiritualness. And I don't know what you believe in. If you're Christian based like I am, I believe in God, and I follow all that kind of stuff. If you're Buddhist or Muslim or whatever it is you believe in, that's excellent. That's what you should follow. And there's so much to read about. There's so much to contemplate and meditate on, as far as who you are and who you really are, and doing more of God's work, not your work. Don't feel like, this is the be all and end all, that your life is really frustrating and your life is quote unquote over. Because again, when you recognize something's wrong, something is recognizing that. So it's kind of like physically, if I get hit or slapped, or I get poked with this pen, I'm recognizing it somehow. Some part of me is recognizing that. We recognize things going on outside. But when it's internal feelings, some part of you has to be experiencing that and recognizing that. So there's the hurt person. So again, let me go back to depression and sadness, grief, anxiety, or whatever, that there's the emotion that you're feeling, and you certainly feel that. But remember, you are the one that's recognizing that pain. So think about that over and over again. Whenever it is you're having a hard time, whenever it is you're feeling sad or depressed or lonely or anxious or whatever, any of the negative emotions, that you are the observer of that. Your life should be filled with joy and excitement and energy and love and all these wonderful things. As corny as that sounds, it's really what you're designed to. You were created to feel joy. God created us all to feel joy, to enjoy our lives, to have fun, to love ourselves and love each other, and really, man, just spring out and become the best version of ourselves. That's why we're here. And what drives that is deep inside. In fact, as a matter of fact, it's not even inside. It's everywhere. It's out there. It's spiritual. So it's out there somewhere. It's a beautiful, magnificent power, a magnificent energy. And we just have to work harder to tap into that so that we can really, really let go and live in an abundant life that's just filled with excitement and energy. And I just wanted to point this out because a few of my friends have been asking about this, and I've been talking to a few of my friends about this stuff. Being the observer of the emotion, relating to the observer more so than, you rather than relating to the hurt, you feel like you are the hurt one, that you are hurting. You have to go one step behind that and get to be the spirit that's behind the essence of who you are. And once you start having a relationship with the spirit in the machine, or the ghost in the machine that's inside of you, once you start tapping into that and listening to that and following that, you're going to start to find that your life is going to change profoundly in miraculous ways. So practice that as much as you can, as much as you possibly can.